Right, so this is the first of 3 back-to-back sessions to set up your Shabbos. Our first presenter today is musicologist, I'm hoping I'm going to pronounce this correctly, because we didn't rehearse this, Dr. Sylwia Jakubczyk Sleczka. How's that? Not bad? It's okay. Now she's from Krakow. She's a research and teaching assistant in Jewish music and culture at the Musicology Institute of Jagiellonian in Krakow. Her primary research interest lies particularly in the musical life of Galician Jews, a subject she explored in depth for her doctoral dissertation. She's the author of numerous articles on Galician Jewish music culture, published in both international and Polish musicological and Jewish studies journals. She teaches courses on Jewish music at Jagiellonian University's Musicology and Jewish Studies Institute. She regularly presents her research findings at academic conferences and occasionally at the European Cantors Convention. And she also serves as a consultant for cultural events that promote or incorporate Jewish musical repertoire. Sylwia, over to you.
I would like to start with saying thank you, especially to Alex for coming here, for inviting me, and to all of you for very okay, I should use it. It's working? Okay, so today I would like to tell you about a cantor from Krakow, which I met when I did my research on Galician music, and I was surprised because he was the most fondly remembered cantor of Krakow. We know that his work survived the war and can now be studied and performed, so it was very intriguing to find them. And today I present you a part of his compositions. I found them only 9, so it's not too much, but they are very well chosen from his whole repertoire. The whole amount of his composition was about 1,500 here. So 9 is not too much, but it's better than nothing. And the admiration for Goldberg and his works among the interwar Cracovian Jews provoked the question, is a legend of pre-war chazzanim? It was particularly interesting to me because, especially in Poland, when you read about chazzanim, about liturgical Jewish music, you can find only the names of the cantor from Połomackie synagogue, only Warsaw, like there was no other places in Poland where people sing in the synagogue, yeah? So it was, impossible. And Goldberg was one of the most admired cantor in Krakow, and I found him in some memoirs, and people tell about him different things. Yeah? For example, Ali Browner, who was a pure Krakow inhabitant, after the war he was a translator and librarian in Israel, described Goldberg as a self-taught cantor of the previous generation, well remembered by the Krakow elders from whom he knew about him. And he described him as a poor singer and an unprofessional conductor, but an excellent composer of liturgical choral pieces. And it is interesting, and I think I should mention here that Goldberg was born in Volhynia. He spent about 40 years in Eastern Europe and then 40 years in Krakow. So probably his age was the reason why he was remembered in Krakow as a, maybe, let's say, poor singer, because other people also confirmed this training. But, for example, in Elias Danutkowski, Kulturträger von der Bischöfen Liturgie, we can read that he was a cantor known as Eliezer or Eliezer Krakowski, that he was a pious Jew, a good tenor, and a talented composer of liturgical music. So probably Danutkowski could know about him from his previous years, from this eastern part of Europe, when he was younger and was a good singer. Yeah? We have also witnessed the article by Baruch Sperber. Baruch Sperber was an Orthodox cantor in Krakow who was a pupil of Eliezer Goldberg. So in some way he had an interest to speak well about him, but it was not only him who admired Goldberg. And Sperber left us the only one short biography of Goldberg, so I will tell you a little bit about it also. But in general, he described Goldberg as a neglected genius, a master of Jewish composition and harmony, which also seemed very, very interesting. Especially that Sperber was a brilliant musician. He was working
in Orthodox synagogues in Krakow. He composed opera, the book. He composed also operettas for Jewish theater in Krakow. He cooperated with Zionist choirs and so on. He was a very open-minded person. And Sperber wrote also that his works should have been restored and published. This story I read later. And, okay, we can understand Sperber, who was a pupil of Goldberg, but we have also an opinion of Henryk Apte, who was a lawyer, Zionist, musicologist, violinist, chairman of Jewish Music Society in Krakow. He was like a Renaissance man. Yeah, he was very, he came from the Jewish intelligence and from the progressive circle of Krakow. Yeah? He was a modern person, and he admired Goldberg as well, which is a little bit strange, I thought at the beginning, because there was during the lifetime of Goldberg, there was this huge struggle between Orthodoxy and progressive movement in Galicia, and at the end we found witness of the memoirs of Apte, who said, okay, he was brilliant. Yeah, he wrote that. He called Goldberg a guardian of tradition, a counterweight to the Western European reform of liturgical music, and his name is the only that Apte noted in his article dedicated to the contribution of Jews into music, when he mentioned him as a representative of the Eastern European chazzanim. So, here's the map of Galicia. Yeah, and what we know about Goldberg, about his biography, he was born in Wiśniowiec in Wolynia in 1843. His father was a cantor, but he didn't want his son to be a cantor as well. So he sent him to Krzemieniec, to yeshiva, and very early, when he was 18, he ordered him to marry a daughter of merchant from Krzemieniec, but eventually Goldberg became a chazan in his hometown city. It is also interesting that at the time of Goldberg youth, this area was rather strongly Orthodox. Haskalah movement hadn't too much influence on this part of Europe. And shortly after, Goldberg moved to Brody and Złotów, where Haskalah movement had strong influence. So he was a witness of this fight between modern people and Orthodoxy. But he was Orthodox, surely, and he had just this experience of seeing the battle between them. Then he moved to Yarosław, and in 1879 he moved to Krakow, to the Kupa synagogue. What is also interesting in this map, of course, he was like a cantor of the whole Galicia, yeah, as we see here, because he worked the whole time, and in this place, yeah, just in the middle of this trapezoid, yeah, of Wiśniowiec, Krzemieniec, Brody and Złotów, there was a place which I think could influence very much Goldberg, because his music, as I will present soon, was very Byzantine. Yeah, and here in Poczajów was the second greatest Ukrainian Orthodox church, with huge pilgrims. And here we have a picture from 1930 of the pilgrims in front of the monastery in Poczajów. Yeah, so it was impossible not to hear them, definitely. And also in Sefer Zuckerov, we can find the memoirs of the people from Poczajów, of the Jews from Poczajów, who even titled them like the Outpust. Outpust is this kind of celebration, yeah. The Outpust was for Jews, yeah. So there was the Jewish people around the Poczajów were strongly engaged in, especially in selling many things and arranging the house to pilgrims. So everybody were engaged in this celebrations. Okay, and in 1879, Goldberg moved to Krakow. He became a cantor of the Kupa synagogue in Krakow, which is here. In the memory of the Krakow inhabitants, contemporary inhabitants, this synagogue was strongly connected with Hasidic movement. And we also see that in Goldberg music, this Hasidic influence are also hearable. And what is interesting in this story, when Goldberg died in 1920, his music started to be performed at Krakow. Why? Because of the decision of his daughters. As Annie Browner wrote, they were old maids and were jealous of their father, and they didn't allow anyone to perform his music. So the only person who sang it in the interwar period was Baruch Sperber, his best pupil. However, Goldberg has also the second pupil, Itzhak Mann. Itzhak Mann was from Działoszyce when he also sang in the synagogue, and Weronika Sajlowa wrote an interesting article about him recently, so Itzhak Mann is also described well. And but Itzhak Mann was also an opera singer in Lvov. He was a soloist of the Lvov opera. So it means that Goldberg couldn't be really a poor singer, if he educated such a person like Itzhak Mann. Even if the works by Goldberg weren't performed in the Krakow synagogues in the interwar period, still his influence was visible in the style of singing of the local chazzanim, who were mostly, maybe not mostly, but a lot of them were his pupils. And I didn't mention later, so I will mention him now. There was David Elimelech, who was his pupil, who was a chazan in the ECA synagogue in Krakow, and who in 30s left Krakow to Antwerp, and probably he took the music of Goldberg also there, because we can find contemporary or post-war recordings of Goldberg made by Cantor from the synagogues, of the synagogues of Maxike Kadas, which was an association which had a strong fight with progressive environment in Krakow. So it's also important, and it's kind of paradox, one of many in Goldberg history. Okay, and in 1937 and 1938, the Yiddish press in Krakow announced rebirth of Eliezer Hanukkah musical tradition. And 3 concerts of his music was organized in Kupa synagogue, in Old synagogue, and in Ahavas Chaim synagogue. Why in these 3? Because these 3 Orthodox synagogues had choirs, so they were able to perform Goldberg music. And it's also interesting, I didn't mention it, that Goldberg, however, he was self-taught cantor, composed for the whole choir. Boys, men choir, of course, but it's kind of amazing. And probably someone helped him to write this music down. And the concert of Goldberg was so much admired by Krakow audience that in January, I think, 1938, they organized the 4th one in Kupa synagogue by the people who were described as Hasids of Elizer's music. There were 2 pupils of Goldberg who also sang his music with his pupils, with their pupils at this time, in the interwar period. Okay, and of course we are not very surprised that Goldberg was performed in Orthodox synagogue, but he was also performed in Temple synagogue in Krakow. And what is also interesting in the context of this history, in 1938, the daughters of Goldberg sued all who organized these concerts in Orthodox synagogues because they wanted a financial support, that they just wanted reimbursement. For financial reasons, they sued the whole the community, the board of Ahavas Chaim synagogue, and all the cantors and the directors. And what is also interesting, that the lawyer who represented cantors, musicians, engaged in this concert was Henryk Apter, the chairman of the Jewish Music Society in Krakow. We don't know how it ended, but the next concerts still were organized, and especially in the Temple synagogue. There were 3 concerts organized in 1938, 1939, for Pesach in 1938, for Shavuot in 1938, and there was a concert for the National Defense Fund in 1939. All of them were performed by the cantor of Temple Synagogue, Leon Schechter, and the choir of Krakow's Temple, directed by Itzhak Lust. And Itzhak Lust is the next one, very important person in this whole story, because he was also a music critic, and we can find some of his opinion published in Zionist Press, Nowy Dziennik, and Yiddish Die Post. What he claimed was that Jewish music needs to be modernized to enjoy. He saw this necessity. He was also the founder of the Friends of Jewish Music Society, which was set up within Jewish Weekly Die Post inner circle. So we know that he saw the importance of preserving and popularizing of diaspora's music culture, which Goldberg was a part of. He also really strongly opposed the Western European reform of liturgical music, insisting on the harmonization of traditional Jewish liturgical melodies that would preserve their modal character. And his model was early polyphonic music. He even, in one of his articles, called this German Reformed Jewish music mediocrity. Yes, so he was.
You call it what?
Mediocrity. Definitely, people in Krakow were not very much delighted. Of course, there was a repertoire. The music by Zulzer, Lewandowski, Naumburg, and also Odessa's composer performed during concert in Krakow Temple, but occasionally. Yeah, we don't know anything about performing them during normal services. And but we know that the start of synagogue in Krakow was modern, but not very reformed, not reformed at all, because the liturgy in general wasn't different from the liturgy which was led in Orthodox synagogues. So, the last opinion I would like to quote is opinion of Henryk Apte about the Goldberg, and it was written down in 1939 after the last concert of the Goldberg's music in Krakow Temple Synagogue, and he wrote like that. Here in Krakow, we are witnessing a tragic neglect of a valuable cultural treasure, the musical legacy of the late Cantor Eliezer. His composition, as demonstrated in the concert, exhibit a raw, unbridled creativity and a rich melodic sense. While his works may lack formal sophistication, they possess a unique and deeply rooted synagogue style. It is imperative that Eliezer music be preserved, edited, and published. His composition with the emotional depth and originality deserve to be recognized and appreciated. Furthermore, we must also ensure that his life and contributions are documented in a comprehensive biography. So I must say I take it personal because I just wrote a very short, and it's just an introduction book about Goldberg, but it's not composition and shortly discussion about him. So let's hope it's just the beginning. And now, I would like to present you Goldberg's music because this is the most important, the most fascinating thing in this whole research. Because when I put the next slide, it starts playing. So let's listen, and then I'll tell you what I wanted to show. Okay, it's not playing. So the first composition I would like to show the excerpt is from Ono Bechoyach. It is the example of expressive Eastern European chazzanim. This is the composition which was performed by Cantor Benjamin Muller from Antwerp. And just let's listen. It doesn't play.
Oh, it doesn't work. It didn't want to stop. It certainly played in rehearsals. And he said yes.
Frankly speaking, it was the arrangement made by Cantor Benjamin Muller, so it's a little bit changed. Why?
Yeah, he didn't sing the music the way it was
No,
written. He didn't sing it the way it was written.
Okay, the next composition is interwar, which is based on Hasidic folklore. And what we see here is very interesting because Goldberg uses choir like an orchestra. He made this orchestral accompaniment, and he introduced the melody, which is like Hasidic nigun. It's marching. It has marching rhythm. It's very simple, the folk one. Yeah, and we also can find it in another super simple composition by him. So that's it. Here I will play you the MIDI file, which is not very nice, but at least better than nothing, I think. And we can hear the echoes of Byzantine music here. One of the many examples of using this style in Goldberg's music. And something that was missed in this arrangement made by Peter Miller, yeah? Because that composition also sounded like that. Okay, so let's listen to the whole way along. Just a short excerpt. And Goldberg often used this drone as an accompaniment in the longer melodies. Okay. Next one, Betis Israel, it contains Baruch musical rhetorica, figures and musical painting. It's like a huge vocal concert, similar to the partesne concertos which were introduced in Ukraine 200 years before. It's a music which was established under the influence of the Baroque music from the Western Europe. And what we can see here is, for example, the question on dominant. We can see here the flowing river. Yeah, the contour of the melody looks like the river, and it's somewhat hearable. Here we can find also the skipping hills, so there's a lot of musical paintings. And here we also have this trembling earth with a lot of chromaticism, which is illustrated like that. And there's of course more examples, but I didn't put everything here. This is the next example of the Goldberg various style. And one more, Sushurim is the most modern choral piece by Goldberg. And here you can hear the performance made in 2018, I think, in Rzeszów during the festival, Sounds of David festival. His Cantor Benjamin Matis, who is accompanied by the Turecki Chamber Choir from Krakow, and this composition sounds like this. The most tonal, but definitely it wasn't just pure tonal music. And here, probably my favorite composition and the most complicated in analysis, but also the most intriguing one. In the one of the reviews from the Goldberg concert in Krakow, that was described as the sweet Jewish composition. So that was my clue when I was looking for this justification of Sperber's words that Goldberg was a master of Jewish composition and harmony. And this composition is also, I think, the most Byzantine from all of the compositions by Goldberg, all I saw. It's in a Phrygian mode with this drone accompaniment. And Goldberg starts it with the modal variations. So he starts here with this theme in Phrygian G. Then he made he transposed modulate to Dorian G here. Then he modulates again. He uses kind of intonation formulas here, which are very similar to the gates from Cracovian, I think. So maybe it's something, they have something in common, especially as this is the same region they both derive from. And okay, he modulates to the C, what is very interesting, because as we see the theme of his composition, yeah, it's G, C, B flat, A flat or A, and G. Yeah, this A flat is unstable. So now after G, he modulates to kind of C mode, then to B flat mode, and then he comes back to the G. And here's a scheme of this composition. Here you have the theme in Phrygian mode. Here's the modulation to Dorian and the first variation in Dorian, modulation to mode C and in the C mode, B and returning to G, and it sounds like that. It's a table of the modes used by Goldberg. I compare them with the Greek modes and with synagogue steigers, and there are somewhat in between, I would say. And many fascinating things in here, but okay, it would take too much time to describe it all. Just to mention interesting things, for example, okay, we have this Phrygian, which was the most intriguing, I think. And it has no analogy in Steigers, but it's similar to Havaraba. On the other hand, Havaraba it functions like a Phrygian plugin in Greek music. Yeah? So there's still a connection. And what also Goldberg did, he created like the whole system, which is very functional, very well organized, very clear. And for example, Ukrainian Dorian in the system works like the 7-degree submodus of the Phrygian mode of Havaraba. When he uses Havaraba, he modulates one step down, and he uses Ukrainian mode, and he uses it to modulate to Lydian mode here, which is similar to Adonai Malach. It doesn't have the same formulas which Charles Davidson described as this mode, so I didn't connect it. I connected, but I didn't identify it as Adonai Malach. Yeah, and also what is interesting and important thing that Goldberg used almost the same formulas to all the modes. Yeah? And he creates with them the aesthetic values of his music, because he moved his composition by triads up in the ascending movement. He gets the climax point, and then he came back to the beginning. Yeah? And and his music is generally modal, I would say, because even in this composition, which we call Sur Shalim, which sounds like G major, simply, the cadences are very untypical, because when he ends his musical phrase on G, B or D, he builds the major chords on the steps. Yeah. So, for example, ending the phrase in G major with B major isn't typical for tonal music, and he didn't resolve it for E minor or anything like that. just came back to G major. Yeah, it's just the harmonizing of the last step of the music. And to summarize, how did Goldberg become the shaker of the whole Krakow people? Yeah, he came from Orthodox and very Hasidic community, and but he was loved by progressive environment of Krakow. It of course has a lot of in common with the transformations of the ideology inside this movement, but I think that what is the most notable in his music is this Byzantine charm, which make it very raw, very ancient. Yeah, so his music probably evoked a sense of nostalgia for the magnificent ancient past, which was expressed in modality, imitation of Jerusalem's temple orchestra, its antiphonal and responsorial singing. He evoked nostalgia for the great Jewish history. Byzantine drawing was like the oldest known manner of harmonization. So at the same time, when musicologists, especially from this Krakow intelligentsia circle, heard music, they had to think about Venesh, yeah, from Austria, who at the same time described the Byzantine music as the oldest example of the snow music of the Europe. So Goldberg was the same, could be the same for them in Krakow. Okay, his composition has this folk charm of Hasidic needles, so it's summarized in some way the history of diaspora. He evokes sense of nostalgia for artistic splendor and social appreciation, creating great vocal concertos, using musical rhetorical figures, musical painting. He used the best models of European vocal religious polyphony and put them in the synagogue. And for what is ancient, Eastern, and unique and traditional, yeah? So in terms of the music, old, oriental, and folk, so the idea of the music of this time, especially the Krakow interwar period, was strongly rooted in the romantic ideology. Yeah, so this was it. And because of that, he could be seen by the Krakow community as a folk genius, Jewish bard, real chazé, whose composition, according to various groups' interpretation, could express religious feelings or cultural values and or political aspiration of Zionists, for example. And singing out of a longing for a great and shared Jewish past, he aroused hopes shared by whole Krakow community with diverse worldviews for the future flourishing of modern Jewish culture and connected their variously defined Jewish identities this way. Thank you.
We have 3 minutes if anybody wishes to ask Sylwia any questions. And we have one question, yes.
You mentioned that there were Orientalism, or music Orientalism was a part of, or a feature of his
can you repeat?
Yes, you mentioned that, sorry, say that. You mentioned that musical Orientalism was a part of his style. Was he also looking to Makam or Arabic modes, or was he just focused completely on the Byzantine without looking further into the Middle East?
I think he just composed what he heard, yeah, because
yeah.
he...
Oh, so these were actually oral models that he was following in the Byzantine church?
Yeah, I think
okay, thank you.
Yes, because he wasn't educated, yeah? I don't think it's artificial. I think that what grabbed the attention on him was this natural and spontaneous way of composing. Yeah.
Judith?
I just want to ask what exactly you mean by Byzantine, because of course Byzantine didn't exist for many centuries by then. And the Greek Orthodox tradition continued to be believed, but it's not been proven, but continued to some degree this combination of Ottoman artists.
Yep.
So what was the representative of that Ottoman Greek Orthodox ascendance of humanity when you said Byzantine in Krakow? Was there a Greek Orthodox church in Krakow? And that
Yes, this is a very interesting point also, because in Krakow there was a great Orthodox church, and we had this famous painter, Jerzy Nowosielski. And Nowosielski left a lot of interesting memoirs, because he was also intriguing by Pochayev. And he was also a member of the choir of the Orthodox Church in Krakow, and he was delighted by the choir. He said that people, also Catholic, came to this choir singing because it was the best choir in Krakow. So this music was hearable in Krakow, yeah? So, which makes me not sure if it was really so much exotic for people there as it is for us today, yeah? But on the other hand, when I try to analyze and find the answer on the question, what was so specific in Goldberg music, I think that this Byzantine charm is something very raw, yeah, which could sound a kind of like ancient, and it could draw an attention of people.
Wasn't this like I would really say more Greek Orthodox or Ukrainian Orthodox, if I would say, because it was not the Russian Orthodox Church, and since it was Galicia, they were like connected very, very much with Ukraine. So perhaps this was.
Yes, definitely.
This was that.
Yes, definitely. Today, in today Poland we have a lot of Ukrainians, and this music is rebirth, and it's I think surprising for us today how close it was to the centers of the cultural centers of Poland. Yeah, even in Krakow, yeah, it just exists, and we have also the pictures of the pilgrims from Poczajów to Krakow in front of the Florianska Gate in Krakow. So this connection was really close.
Okay, thank you very much, and back on time as well. Thank you.